The updated Lexus IS sedan has landed in Australia, featuring a fresh design, new technology, and a sportier DNA than what we've seen in the past. Let's see how it measures up to the established German set. Lower, wider and sporting a fresh appearance, the new Lexus IS renews its fight with the Audi A4, BMW 3 Series and Mercedes-Benz C-Class this month, with a choice of 3 different drivetrains and 5 different grades. Pricing is up between $1,000 and $1,700 across the range, offset by more standard inclusions and features, including a new 10.3-inch touchscreen and added safety. The 4-cylinder Lexus IS300 anchors the lineup at $61,500 plus on-road costs. Even inside the cabin of an entry-level IS300, it's a really nice place to be. Lovely soft touch materials at all the contact points, thick carpet, and a level of craftsmanship and presentation that really speaks to the Lexus luxury positioning. With that said, there are a few telltale signs to show that this is a facelift or an update rather than an all-new model. The biggest one is probably the infotainment system and the center fascia. There's lots of buttons in the center stack, and while there is a new touchscreen that's 150 millimeters closer to the driver, it's still a little bit too far away to access while you're on the go. If you choose to make use of the haptic touchpad system, it's a little bit clunky in its operation as well, especially in the company of the established European set. There are big changes underneath as well, including wider front and rear tracks for better turn-in and stability, improved rigidity courtesy of extra bracing at the front end and spot welding from front to rear, and additional use of high-strength steel and aluminium across the body. That sportier direction is evidenced by more immediacy to the controls of the IS300. The steering feels a little bit more pointed and direct. It changes direction with more confidence and it sits quite flat through the turns. Ultimately, it's not going to threaten the BMW 3 Series for dynamic benchmarks in this segment. It lacks the lightness of that car and it lacks the front to rear balance as well, even though it is a rear drive car. But it's still quite an enjoyable car on the open road and certainly isn't out of its depth dynamically. 3 different petrol powertrains are available, spanning 4 and 6-cylinder layouts as well as hybrid power. We spent most time in the IS300, a 2-litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder, good for 180 kilowatts and 350 newton meters. I've got to say, for a small capacity engine, it does a pretty admirable job in most scenarios. It finds peak torque fairly early in the rev range. It works well with that 8-speed automatic, and the whole drivetrain has that lovely inherent rear drive feel. When it comes to pushing the IS300 a little bit more though, the engine is blunted somewhat by its hefty curb mass, and for that reason it can feel a little bit languid, a little bit lethargic when you really ask the most of it. Getting up to speed, the IS300 definitely has a new dynamic competency that we haven't really seen in previous generations. It's let down a little bit by its Dunlop SP Sport Max tyres, and the steering has an artificial feeling to it that doesn't really impart the same kind of feeling on the road that you're really after. The other criticism is probably this car's driver aids and electronic aids. They're probably not as sophisticated as what you'll find in something from BMW or Audi. But that said, up until that 9/10 threshold, the IS300 is really well acquitted. It isolates you from bumps in the road fairly admirably. You do get a little bit of pitter-patter bumps transferring through the cabin. Bigger hits are dealt with quite well with no huge crashing or thudding. The IS is let down by persistent road noise, while higher spec F-Sport variants on larger 19-inch wheels introduce an at times brittle ride. Otherwise, the IS ushers in new technologies and safety for Lexus, while also carrying over a familiar 4-year warranty and an inherent Japanese craftsmanship. Now, despite those significant dynamic inroads made by the latest IS, its most redeeming feature remains that of value. The fact that you can step into an IS300 that I'm in now for $61,500 plus on-road costs and get this level of refinement, cabin presentation technology is a real selling point for this car. And while it doesn't really rewrite the rule book in terms of mid-size sedan dynamics, luxury or refinement, it does a pretty good interpretation and is a really well-rounded luxury sedan.